I found her ring on the bathroom counter before the sunrise. Not in the jewelry box where it belonged, not on her finger where it had always been, but just sitting there, cold, metallic and accusing, like a secret left behind intentionally. My stomach sank as I traced the circular indent in the polished marble, feeling my chest tighten in a way that made it hard to breathe. I didn't need to read between the lines. The message was clear. She wasn't just away on a girl's trip. She was somewhere else entirely, and I was the only one she'd left behind. I had woken to the soft glow of the early morning and reached for her beside me, expecting warmth, maybe even a smile. Instead, I felt the emptiness of the bed, a vacuum of absence that mirrored the growing pit in my stomach. Our bedroom smelled faintly of her perfume, sweet and floral, but it now carried an undertone of betrayal. I went to the bathroom and saw it there. Her wedding ring. The symbol of everything we had promised each other. Marriage, loyalty, love. Just abandoned, as if it were a casual trinket she'd outgrown. I had never felt this kind of stillness before. My mind reeled, trying to stitch together some explanation that didn't exist. I picked up the ring, spinning it slowly between my fingers, and I remembered the day we'd bought it together. It had been a small, modest band, nothing extravagant, but we had laughed over how we'd found the perfect one. I thought of the promises we whispered in the jewelry store, the soft vows exchanged under the chapel lights. And now it was just a cold circle on a marble countertop, the last thing she had left me. I could hear her texts pinging from her phone across the room. Girls' trip. Don't wait up. Be grateful I even made time to check in. My thumb hovered over the screen as the words sank in. Grateful. That's what she expected me to feel. Grateful that she deigned to keep me in the loop while she was doing whatever she was doing. I laughed bitterly, a sound that startled me. Grateful. Grateful for what? That she had chosen a weekend of deceit over the life we had built together. I sat on the edge of the bed, her ring clutched in my palm, and let myself remember everything. The late nights we spent planning vacations, the laughter that echoed through our apartment, the quiet Sunday mornings we shared, sipping coffee in our pajamas. Had it all been a lie? Or had it been real once, just to make leaving easier? My thoughts spun in tight circles, each one sharper than the last. Her friends' group chat was full of pictures. Smiling selfies, champagne glasses raised, the kind of carefree joy that made me want to hurl my phone across the room. And then, in the corner of a photo, I saw him. She was leaning on him, laughing in a way I had thought belonged to me alone. His arm was draped casually around her shoulder. I knew that look, the one that said everything without a single word. Desire, excitement, intimacy. I couldn't move. Not yet. I didn't want to confront her over text or call. I wanted the truth in its rawest form. So I stayed home, pretending to myself that I was busy at work, staring blankly at the ceiling while my heart shattered quietly. Each laugh in the photos felt like a hammer striking my chest. Each glass raised, each stolen glance, was a reminder that she had taken a piece of my world and reshaped it without me. By the time she walked back through the door late Sunday night, the house smelled faintly of her perfume again, but now it was tainted with the sharpness of betrayal. I had sat in the living room, the lights dim, pretending to scroll through my phone. She entered humming, carefree, carrying bags of souvenirs and laughing about something trivial her friends had said. She didn't notice the silence, the way the house seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of what was to come. "Hey, I missed you," she said brightly, dropping her bags and stretching, the kind of stretch you save for the comfort of home. "Sorry I left the ring behind, it slipped my mind. Can you believe it?" She laughed, as if it were a joke. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw the glint of amusement, the careless sparkle in her eye. That same sparkle had once been reserved for me. "I saw your pictures," I said quietly, my voice a low tremor that barely masked the anger simmering beneath. Her smile faltered. "Oh, those. It was just the girls," she began, but her tone faltered. I held up the ring. "This is just a trinket for you," I asked, letting the words hang in the air. "You leave it behind, and suddenly I'm supposed to feel grateful?" Her face paled slightly, and for a moment I thought I saw guilt, Or maybe just recognition of the consequences finally catching up with her. Aza, it's not what you think, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Not what I think. I repeated, voice rising, though I fought to keep it under control. I saw you laughing with him. I saw the pictures. And now, somehow, it's not what I think. She backed up a step, defensiveness creeping in. Aza, it was just, I don't know. I needed space. Just a break, nothing serious. You know how stressful work has been. I laughed, sharp and bitter. A break. You call a weekend of lying, flirting, and leaving your ring behind a break. My chest ached as I realized how much I had trusted her. How much I had built my life around someone who didn't respect that trust. She looked at me, a flicker of fear in her eyes. Please don't make this bigger than it is. I shook my head slowly, a decision crystallizing in my mind. This wasn't about anger. This wasn't about revenge. It was about survival, about dignity, about walking away from a life that no longer belonged to me. You know, I said softly, almost whispering, sometimes the hardest thing isn't leaving someone who loves you. It's leaving someone you once loved who didn't love you back in the way you thought. Her mouth opened, but no words came. She looked small, suddenly, diminished by the realization that the game was over. I walked past her, deliberately slow, deliberately calm. Each step was heavier than the last, each one a small reclaiming of the self I had lost in the shadow of her deceit. I stopped at the door, gathering my coat and keys. She moved toward me, her voice trembling. Aza, wait, please. We can work this out. I turned to face her fully for the first time, looking into the eyes that had once felt like home. No, I said simply. I can't. You've made your choices. I'm making mine. She reached for me, her hands trembling, but I stepped back. There was nothing left to reach for. I left the house quietly, the door clicking shut behind me like a final punctuation mark. I didn't look back. The streets were empty, the early morning light casting long shadows across the pavement. I walked aimlessly at first, letting the silence surround me, letting the grief settle into something I could bear. For the first time in months, I felt the weight of freedom pressing gently against my shoulders. Freedom, yes, but heavy, bittersweet, and painfully necessary. That night, I found a small motel room, the kind with flickering neon lights and a stiff bed. I sat on the edge, her ring still in my pocket. I didn't throw it away. I didn't smash it. I simply held it, turning it over, and let myself grieve. Not for her, not even for the marriage, but for the life I had imagined, the person I had loved, and the trust that could never be rebuilt. Sleep came eventually, fitful and shallow, filled with fragmented memories of laughter and whispered promises. But for the first time I felt a strange clarity. The clarity of someone who had seen the truth and chosen to live by it. The clarity of someone who could move forward without the weight of betrayal pressing down on them. Weeks passed. I didn't call her. I didn't check on her. I didn't allow myself to be dragged into the mess she had created. I focused instead on work, on friends who still believed in me, and on the small, quiet routines that reminded me I could exist without her shadow looming over me. And eventually, one evening, I found myself smiling, not because I had forgotten her, not because the pain had disappeared, but because I had chosen myself. I had left behind a life of illusion for one of reality, and in that choice I had reclaimed the part of me that mattered most. Her ring remained in my pocket for months, a quiet reminder of what I had lost, what I had endured, and what I had ultimately refused to compromise. One night, I slipped it into a small box, sealed it, and placed it in a drawer. Out of sight, yes, but never out of memory. It was a symbol now, not of love or marriage, but of survival. I never went back. I never looked for her, and she never tried to find me. And in that quiet absence, I discovered something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. I had loved. I had been betrayed. I had hurt. But I had also chosen myself. And that, I realized, was the beginning of truly being free.